The people you work with, I'm sure, are running into decision fatigue in their day-to-day lives.
Yes.
Because as someone who is high powered, who's someone who's an entrepreneur, a mom, a family matriarch, we have to make so many decisions before we even make a decision for ourselves every day. And so being in service of them and giving them a clear path of how to work with you, and telling them what to do and telling them that first step to take, can sometimes truly be in service of them, even though to you it may be like, oh, I'm being pushy, but it's like, no, I'm telling you the step that you have to take to start helping yourself.
Success is a lie if you're failing inside. You can't grow a business you hate. Welcome to the Business Reality Check.
Welcome to the Business Reality Check podcast. I'm Jonna.
And I'm Lori. Together we founded Thrive Collective. We're here because we're passionate about helping you show up as the expert you actually are. We know you didn't start your business to become a full-time marketer, and we're tired of seeing great business owners say the best kept secret.
We believe that your online presence should be a true reflection of your expertise, not a source of constant stress. If you're tired of staring at a blank screen, frustrated with graphics that don't look professional, or feeling like you're wasting hours on apps instead of with your clients, you're in the right place.
This podcast is about having the honest conversations that take the guesswork out of your strategy. We're here to help you move past the walls that you've built and help you get in front of your dream clients. We do this with kindness and radical clarity because you deserve a business that works for you, not against you. And if you want to see our faces and feel like you're right here in the room with us, head over to youtube.com/@BizRealityCheckPod to watch, or listen wherever you get your podcasts. Check the podcast notes for all the links and resources from today's episode. And if you're ready for a reality check of your own, we've also included the link to apply to be a guest. We'd love to hear your story.
All right, let's jump into today's episode. Today, we are sitting down with Dr. Leona Allen, a licensed chiropractor, metabolic strategist, and health educator with over 25 years of experience. Dr. Leona works with high-performing adults over 40, professionals, and entrepreneurs who look completely fine on the outside, but are quietly exhausted, struggling with stubborn weight, poor sleep, and a body that is not keeping up with the life they are trying to live. She teaches people how to understand what their bodies are responding to so they can address the root cause instead of chasing temporary fixes. Dr. Leona is in the middle of one of the biggest pivots a business owner can make, from a local practitioner to a global educator and thought leader. And she is doing it entirely on her own, balancing patient care with content creation, podcasting, speaking, and building online systems all at the same time. She said it herself. She started this business to help people achieve true health and freedom. And right now, she spends most of her time balancing all of that with the infrastructure needed to grow it. She came here asking one question: how do you bridge the gap between strong engagement and consistent conversion without losing the integrity of your message? That is exactly where we are going today. Dr. Leona, welcome to the Business Reality Check.
Hello, and thank you for having me. That sounded really good. You must have, I like how you presented that. I'm like, oh, wow, can I get a copy of that? No.
Absolutely. Our job is to make you feel wonderful as you start talking with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here today.
Oh, well, it's really our pleasure. And that is actually why we introduce people. We refuse to let people not get the accolade and acknowledgement they deserve, especially women, because we will do that to ourselves a little bit. But so Dr. Leona, you've been doing this work for over 25 years, and now you're in this season of transition. So for anyone else who's listening, if you are in a transition and you are nodding and this sounds familiar, please put your butt in a seat with her, because she is doing the heavy lifting today. But before we get into like the nuts and the bolts of all that, we just kind of want to know, what does your life look and feel like for you on the other side of this transition?
What do you mean by how that looks? Because I feel like everything I do has to do with my work. So
Yeah, like, is it you in the office every day? Are you speaking? Are you writing? Like, give us a visual of what your life is going to look like and how that's going to leave you feeling. Like, will you be excited and ready and like that? Paint a picture.
well, with the transition, I mean, I put so much heart and soul into it, but with the transition, it's just going to be more of it, but maybe I'll just get to enjoy it a little bit more and see it because I'm so deep in it. So when you ask that question, I have to think, what will that look like? Because it really already you helped me realize how deep into this work I actually am. So the transition will help me sit back and say, wow, job well done.
I'm actually so glad you started with that because when Jonna kicks off, she's going to talk with you about your why. And I do think that's something that a lot of us, especially women solopreneurs, tend to forget is like you're in it. And so you're swirling in it and your heart and your soul is in it. It's hard to step back and look at the forest through the trees and really see the impact and the difference that you make. So there's so much power in these third-party
Yeah.
eyeballs and ears looking at all of your assets, because believe us, we've looked at her website even through the Wayback Machine. We've been looking at your website, your socials, your podcast, like everything. And I think there's a lot to uncover. So
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
very
I
excited.
agree. Me too.
Yeah. So I want to dive in a little bit more into your why. You talked about kind of that inspiration, like Lori said, being able to see more of what you're building and truly see the impact. And so I want to dive a little bit more into that inspiration. What was that moment where you were like, this could be bigger than it is? And, why you decided to kind of shift and make it, and just keep growing. Because I know you're going to just keep growing and growing and growing, and it's going to create wonderful things.
Oh, my biggest why is my own health crisis. I was one of those people, I'm smart. I try to do my best, make everybody proud, my teachers proud, my parents proud, but I still ended up extremely sick. I was 80 pounds overweight. I had fatty liver disease. I was struggling in my business, trying to manage kids. Everything that I've built was really it was starting to fall apart around me financially, physically, and everything. And that was a huge wake up call for me to be in a position where I can be there for myself and be there for my children. Because, I lost my parents and they were relatively young. I mean, to me, they were 73 and 63 when they passed. And me having my children at 36 and 40, I wanted to be in a position where I can leave something for them. I'm not a burden to them. And I wanted to be an example of what it takes to not just get sick, but actually recognize why you got sick and overcome that. So when I'm as a healer, I feel like not alone in this, but I just feel like I don't think enough people are doing it this way. It's more than just, oh, it makes, I'm earning income. It's $1 billion industry. It's really about what health means and what you do when you are healthy and being there for your family, being there for your business, being there for your parents and everything else. So that is my why. And hope that answered your question, but really is. It's just being alive and being there for others is really important to me.
Yeah, I think we can definitely see that, as we were looking through things. And I know our listeners are going to be looking as they listen to this, and they're going to see the same thing reflected in, your website and in your
Yeah.
greatest reasons we can do what we do, and it is so important to us from the core out, because the people that we work with and the people around us can feel that. They know it's not just about the income and it's not just about certain things, but it's truly very important to you. And I think that's beautiful. As a mother of one, all we can really strive to do is be the best that we can do and not make their lives difficult later on. And I want to point out something you said too, is because a lot of what we see is the reaction or the reactiveness to issues, as opposed to the other side of it, where we are preventing things or fixing things from the root down, or highlighting celebrating the fact that we are taking care of ourselves, because these are all the wonderful things that we can get out of it. So I think that's beautiful, especially as we kind of move into who you work with and the people that you are creating an impact for, keeping that in mind.
Yeah.
I think we wanted to also kind of touch into, Jonna, a little bit on that like local versus kind of global expansion. So maybe before we get into the who, because I think we're going to talk a lot about who and what more finite, but give us an overview. Why are we shifting from being this local practitioner into more of this global educator, thought leader? Give us a little bit of that context.
You know, you're gonna realize when I answer, I'm not very direct. But it was like a vision before it actually happened, because I'll never forget when I created my LLC. It was Freedom Health Systems International, my first LLC. So this was before I even opened the doors. Okay. So I always envisioned myself being international and global. So I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I just knew it would. And so didn't really think about it. That was the name. And then I just started locally because I've been around before the internet, sort of. You know, they still had yellow pages and stuff when I started my practice. So things weren't as automated and as global as things are now. The internet wasn't the way it is right now. I don't think there was any Facebook and things like that, but somehow I knew. And I just love working with people locally. And I believe what really transitioned to that global was, and everybody remembers where they were in 2020. And that's when it really kicked off. And because I had that vision and started, you know, building my virtual business, that's when it really kicked off, where I had the pieces. But then I was, when everything was shut down, I was forced to be more global and more virtual. And that's what opened the doors to my global business. And it's been growing ever since. So I would say in 2022, I was national for a while, but I was officially international in 2022 with clients in England, Canada, the islands, I think it was Barbados. So it's been a journey. It's just happened for me.
That's so exciting. If anyone else has been around before the internet, wherever you're listening or watching, drop an emoji. I wanna know who else was around before, because the way you said that had me cracking up. I have to keep myself on mute so I don't interrupt our fabulous guests. But yeah, that just really made me laugh. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was very rustic back then. You had to, you turn on your computer, you take a shower. It took a while for it to it wasn't as instant as it is now. It still had, you know, wires in the wall, just to help the viewers who were, you know, maybe a few years younger than me, what it was like.
That like MS-DOS sound, if you know the sound of it starting up, and then like the sound of plugged in internet, not Wi-Fi internet.
Floppy disk. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
This is another podcast because I feel like that is just so freaking awesome. I want to hear more about that, but thank you for
One
the
more
context.
before you do. The credit cards went like this. So there was you couldn't really accept payment online. Oh my goodness, the list goes on and on. But go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
Lori.
that's so true. I like what you're talking is like from a logistical standpoint, it actually just made sense to be more available, more global, international. I appreciate the context because I think some people maybe in their minds are wondering how to do the same thing if they're a local sort of practitioner, service-based person. If this is on your mind, you're going to want to listen to this because we are going to really get into some of the nitty-gritty, the tech stack, the how of how we're doing all of this. But first, I think we want to start with our who. Are we safe to move in there, Jonna, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we want to just kind of define a little bit more about, you know, who you want to work with and who you are working with, because we know that your passion comes from inside you. And so when someone finds you or they approaches you because they're ready, right? What is kind of going on in their life when they find you? And, kind of generic, not specific, but where are they at? What are they feeling and why are they ready to work with you?
Most of the people I work with are so intelligent, and I get like the they're just intelligent. They're educated, they read the books, they do all the things, but they just know something is missing. And whatever it is, they're not going to give up trying to find it. So they try to eat the best they know how. The thing is they just don't know what they don't know, and they're not ashamed to admit it. So it's one of those things, and I'm kind of that person. Something's missing, but you're going to keep finding it. And when you see it, that's what it is. So I'm kind of that person. And I'm not the person that works with someone that's looking for a quick fix, a magic bullet, something easy. The people that I work with want to get better, not just to look good and feel good, but to be good. They want to be there for their families and be a good example for their children. So they are at a level where their health isn't just, I feel good. They want their health so they can be a better person. So I have to be a better person so I can help others be better themselves.
Okay.
Just,
That's starting to track. I'm starting to get a picture painted. And so when they're like Googling, searching, what have they like maybe already tried when they come to you? Again, you don't have to name what a specific person has done, but just kind of what have you generally heard people say?
I mean, they've already tried things that they saw online or, try things on their own. They've already tried several diets. They've tried maybe just being vegetarian, vegan, fasting, all the things that they see and hear about on Google. And they're like, okay, let me try this, try that. They've read all the books. They listen to all the podcasts. Back podcasts weren't always around. But anyway, I'll stay focused. So, but they're the ones that read all the books, the encyclopedias. How about I say that? And they're very serious and they just want to know. They very, very intelligent. And the thing is, the gap is applying the knowledge and using the right knowledge that works for them. So there's a lot of amazing programs, but I think where they're confused is why is it working for them and what will work for them? And that's where I come in to really help them figure that out, like what you're doing for me.
I think that makes a lot of sense because, we are in, like you said, it's a completely different time than when you first started your practice. And at this point, we have so much information. I mean, you can Google something and you have thousands of articles on it that say completely different things on opposite end of the spectrums. And it's an overwhelming amount of knowledge. And especially for people who are education focused, they do everything they can to read and study and absorb articles and information and to learn about things. It can be really overwhelming because that part where it's translating the what into, like you were saying, why this works for me or how this is going to help me specifically, it's like missing, or it's too much information and it's information overload. Lori, does that sound? I know Lori is an avid. She's big on educating herself on health things. So I know she dives into a lot of research and looking up different things. And I know you've ran into issues where you've read one thing and thought it was the right answer and then it's like not, and it can be difficult.
Yes. You made a good point though. See, that's why I like this already. You made a good point. I'm in this weird position where I've been in two worlds. Okay. And a lot of the women I work with are my age or older. And they know this. It just seems like with the abundance of information now, we've confused ourselves and made ourselves sick. But we knew about the gardens and the herbs, but because we went to the library and we learned a lot of stuff, and you can only gather so much information. But now it's overwhelming, and I believe that is the biggest thing, that a lot of my clients are now overwhelmed and they started to lose what they already knew. So I guess what I'm helping them is reestablish what they already knew.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love hearing you say that, because something we say here too is like more is not more. when we get those clients in our business and they are asking a lot of questions, we can usually hear that they're coming from a place of thinking that knowing everything is the answer. And it is not. It's not helpful. It's not supportive. It is draining. You've got no more space to be yourself, to learn any of those things. So I'm glad that we're kind of on the same page. We're all nodding. If you're listening, you're nodding. You're getting it. You're driving, you're nodding. You're cleaning, you're nodding with us. We get it. More is not more. So we're going to pin that, which is very interesting because we had some thoughts about your content. We've seen many of your videos, listened to your podcasts. I mean, down to the music you've got, everything, guests. So we have some thoughts on content there. But I think we want to know too is like who you're working with now. Is that who you want to continue working with? And we're asking this again because you have this transition happening where you've got the local versus sort of like global. So in the direction that you're going, are these the same people or is there a change, do you think, in who you're serving?
It's the same people. They're just around the world. Yeah. I got a bigger reach now.
Yeah, broader
Yeah.
audience.
It's absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Absolutely. And tell us, so, you mentioned you work with both men and women,
Mhm.
but do you find like, are most of the people you work with, do they lean one way or the other? Do you see kind of like trends or is it really pretty even?
It's mostly women
Mhm.
and some men. Yeah, but it is mostly women. But I find that it used to be majority women because the men at one point they would have to have a broken leg and bleeding to death before they saw medical help or any kind of help, medical, holistic. But now the men are actually becoming more proactive with their health now than
I can
before.
I can see that. There's definitely been a
Mhm.
little bit of a shift, I feel like,
Yes.
in health awareness in general. Like we're kind of circling back to that, which is nice because people are having more, even like mental health and things like that. People are being
Mhm.
more proactive about it. My significant other, he goes to a chiropractor. He gets maintenance work done because he's, 6'5" and very tall, and we're trying to prevent long-term issues, So I think people can understand the value of it. As we were looking at your marketing and things like that, we definitely felt like it was speaking more to women. And that's just kind of, the feeling that we got, which I'm sure, you were in this marketing world. You do a lot of marketing on your own, but you're familiar with kind of a target and how we have our inner bullseye of who we want to work with. But it doesn't mean that we're excluding the rings as we get further out from our bullseye, but really speaking to the person that's in that bullseye is
Right.
truly going to serve both us and them the best.
Right.
And I want to add to this, you didn't say this, but I'm sort of downloading this idea and tell me if this tracks with you, is like women are kind of like these ushers of things. Women build communities. We bring men to health. Like, I'm not saying that's the truth, period. I'm just saying that tends to happen where women make these decisions, say on Facebook in groups, or they might be more proactive versus reactive. And so we reflect that to the men in our worlds. So I could see men coming to you for that kind of support, but it kind of seems like they're going to be ushered through women. And so like it occurs to us that your target is these women who are intelligent, high powered, and these like ushers of other people also having this holistic, complete health experience. Is that sort of
Yeah, I
what you
agree. I
experienced?
agree. It's usually the women that are like the anchor, and then they bring in the husbands and the children. And that was pretty much the way it has been for a long, long time. But now I'm starting to see a shift where men are doing it, and then they're bringing in their wives or and children. So there is a shift. I mean, I love being in business so many years to see that how much things have changed. And that is one of the biggest changes that I've noticed in my practice. And I love it. So that's why I was like, okay, as I saw it on social media one day, can you help men too? I'm like, oh, well, yeah, of course. So it has become, that's when it started expanding as well.
Love that. I love seeing the shift in that. I think it's so important.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, we kind of established kind of who you're working with. I want to talk a little bit about who's engaging. We looked through your YouTube, your Facebook, your Instagram. So are the people who are currently interacting, on your posts, because you can kind of see the backside of things. Are they that high performing over 40 professional? Like, who is kind of interacting online specifically with your content?
Yeah, it really depends. I'll say social media isn't my biggest strength. Again, I'm pre-social media, but but I get some engagement, but I'm not quite sure. But what I'm finding is that I do attract people, and I find out how did they hear about me, and they say they saw me on YouTube, whatever, but they never respond. But they'll get on my email list or come to a webinar. So I see they are engaging, but I just don't know about it.
Gotcha. So they're kind of going through the funnel, but they're not necessarily like commenting or interacting
Not.
on your posts and
But they
content.
see everything I post and tell me about it.
This is
Yeah.
very good information. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You don't have to have high engagement rates on social media to have an effective funnel. So I'm making a little note here. When we talk about the what, we talk about the funnel, how people find you, all that. I'm going to pin all the wheels that are spinning in my brain for that conversation.
Yeah.
So that's really good to know.
Yeah, it
No.
is good to know because it used to be disappointing. Like, why is no one liking this? But I don't worry about it now. I just joke around and say, the 24 people 24 views, there are probably 24 people that really watched it and paid attention.
No, and it's true. It's like, you hear all these things you talk about, and it's changed over the years, just like everything else. Marketing and social media has vastly changes,
Yes.
from every 6 months to the next 6 months. But it's not always the engagement or the numbers or the comments that matter. Are the right people getting the resources they need? Are the right people reaching you? And if that's happening, it's like, that's what we're measuring success by. It's not how many comments you have or, things like that. And so it's really what is important when we measure things. And we'll keep diving into that as we move forward. But I just wanted to highlight that. Like, the social media platforms do not make it easy to get numbers now. It's different than it used to be. 10 years ago when social media was fresh, you could post something and have 100 people comment on it because it's new. But now, like everything else, there's thousands of posts every minute. You're in a big, and they want you to spend money on paid ads. And so keep that in mind, because it's working the system to your own benefit, not necessarily the way they want you to use the system.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. People don't see as much as they used to in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the same with our business too. And it's kind of ironic because we do social media management for so many people, and that is one of our main services, but they are not savvy or tech savvy. So they don't necessarily find us that way. Doesn't mean social media doesn't reach them though, because we have funnel strategies in place that convert them from, I always say, like, curiously interested to paying customer. So I think we're safe to start shifting, unless, Jonna, was there anything else with the who we needed to ask her?
No.
We're clear. We might go backwards a little bit, but I feel like first and foremost, in terms of what we say the what is like, what do you offer? What do we do for marketing? So could you just clarify, what are your offerings?
My offerings. So locally, I have the chiropractic, can't do that virtually. So I'm still adjusting hands-on, and I also do, my metabolic strategy, in office as well. And then virtually, I offer the metabolic health coaching as well. And the clients get lab work, nutritional supplements. So that's that part. Then I have books. I'm an author of 3 books. And so when you say offering and services, those are pretty much my services. I have a podcast myself. I'm a podcast host. I know I'm missing something.
We'll make sure we cover everything, but it helps us to kind of see it in our mind's eye. We're visual creatures, so we start to visualize things in sort of campaigns, if you will. So we can see a bucket for like the chiropractic and how we build out that funnel, and then metabolic coaching. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, metabolic health coaching. Yes.
Okay. So if somebody finds you, they resonate with your content, we've identified the start of the pathway. They go to something where, I know on your website you had some lead magnets being things that you download for free in exchange for data. So you're collecting name and email, etc. they're getting this great, valuable tool. What happens from there?
Well, I have several funnels, but there's they would get their download or their book or webinar, whatever they signed up for, and then there's a nourishing sequence. Is that the right word? Nurturing, a nurturing sequence, and then I usually post regularly. I have a pretty good email list, and I'll send a weekly newsletter, updates, invitations for any live events that I'm doing and things of that sort. So I continue to nourish and engage with my subscribers and email list.
Hey, it's Jonna here with today's sponsored ad. This episode is brought to you by 40 Day Publishing, the company that makes publishing accessible for everyday people with a story to tell. If you've ever thought, I should write a book someday, 40 Day Publishing is here to turn that someday into right now. Founded by authors for authors, they've helped over 140 independent authors publish more than 270 titles. And they do it without the gatekeepers, the confusion, or the crazy price tags that traditional publishing is known for. Their core belief is simple. You don't need years to write and publish your book. You need a proven process, the right support, and 40 days. Whether you write fiction, nonfiction, children's books, or memoirs, 40 Day Publishing has walked authors just like you through the entire journey. You ready to write that book? Head to 40dayworkshops.com to register for their next live free workshop. That's 40dayworkshops.com, because your story deserves to be told.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. If you haven't noticed, and if people don't know by now, if you're listening in, I'm the closer in this company of ours. I am the one who goes right for the sale, right for the close. And it always comes in service of a human. So if someone's coming to me and like, I'm struggling with this, I'm going to fix that problem. And most people, I've literally gotten text messages. They're like, can I just give you my credit card? I'm like, whoa, like chill. I'm glad we're best friends now, but like, let's have a meeting here. So I'm not hearing anywhere where they're converting, which is interesting. You've collected, you've done great work. Your lead magnets look great. We've seen your landing pages. They're quietly collecting their data, but then is it where you want them to go to the webinar, or what is the thing that they should do that you find converts the most people?
Converting, as far as being in one of my programs, the biggest conversions are my live webinars and 5-day challenges that I do. But there's a group of people that just aren't ready. They got to think, they got to explore, they got to watch, they got to trust. And I give people space to decide. And when they're ready, I'm here. And I even say that in some of my emails. Whenever you're ready, book a call. Whenever you're ready. And so I'm not very aggressive, because I know with the work that I do, you have to be ready. And I get people that have been on my email list for 2 years, and they're like, okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? And I get those calls. Yeah. So
There's
maybe
always
there's something more I can do, but I haven't really thought about that. Why aren't they reacting quicker?
That's fair. And I think too that, in every funnel and every strategy, there's short term and there's long term. There's always going to be people who fall into the long term side of things who are going to take longer to come around. But I think what Lori is more talking about are the people who are ready, or on the brink of being ready right now, and the conversion around that. Because I feel like Lori is, again, I am not a sales strategist. That is not my strength. I am more like, I will just vomit ideas at people and be like, you should do this, 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 and this, because I have a very, creative and strategic brain. Whereas Lori's like, no, let's take a step back. These are the systems. This is how we're going to do it, which I completely understand is typically more in service of the client than what I do, because what I do can be overwhelming. Whereas Lori is giving them an actual path to follow and a clear, actionable step. The people you work with, I'm sure, are running into decision fatigue in their day-to-day lives.
Yes.
Because as someone who is high powered, who's someone who's an entrepreneur, a mom, a family matriarch, we have to make so many decisions before we even make a decision for ourselves every day. And so being in service of them and giving them a clear path of how to work with you, and telling them what to do and telling them that first step to take can sometimes truly be in service of them, even though to you it may be like, oh, I'm being pushy, but it's like, no, I'm telling you the step that you have to take to start helping yourself.
That makes sense. And I do tend to do that in my live events, where they do take that step. Yeah. But that's good
I love that.
insight. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing is just kind of lift. We say like lifting the hood,
Right.
looking a little deeper. And everyone we talk to, we invite them to look and explore as to what their money making tasks are, because in a business you have to find those things. It doesn't mean we're trying to get people and get one. And I hate that marketing sale. I will not talk like that's not, if you're in service of humans, that's not the conversation to have. And if you're looking at like what's going to have a clear funnel and keep you in business so you can help the most amount of these people who are struggling, then you got to be clear too. Webinars, if they work, then that's got to be the thing you put the most amount of time and energy into, and not constantly posting and not being every single step of the podcast, recorder, gorgeous, brilliant face, the talent, the editor, the post publishing, because hello, we have a team, like we know there's steps, right? And then there's like syndication and scheduling. And oh my God, if we kept going, we would all want to just throw the computer out the window. Right. You can't be all the things if the money making task is being the talent on the webinars, because that's where people convert. So how do we have either more live webinars or live/evergreen webinars happening all the time would be, for me in my brain, that would be my question. And getting you out of the life-sucking thing that social media tends to be. It's like a vampire, right? Am I right? A little bit. Most of our clients have a love-hate with it, okay? Mostly hate. So that's why they come to us. But that's where we're looking from, is if the main thing is webinars. I don't know how often you're doing them, but is that something you're able to do once a day, every week? What's the typical cadence?
Well, right now it's on average every other week. But I was thinking this morning, I'm ready to go evergreen. And I do love doing my 5-day challenges. So I'm now thinking, I worked out this morning and I was just thinking, I need to update my evergreen and do the challenge. I would mind I love doing the 5-day challenges. And that's what I'm thinking of doing right now. Just focusing on that live, but everything else is to get everybody in the ecosystem and then promote the challenges.
I like
Because that's where they because I feel like what I do is so integrated. I'm not like, oh, buy this protein powder. There's stress, there's sugar, there's fat burning, there's energy, there's labs, there's so much. And it takes time to educate people and help them unlearn some things so they can learn again.
Are people only in emails with you? Do you have a members area? Are you thinking about that?
Well, I have the emails of people that are a combination of people I never met, people I may have met that never moved forward, and clients that I work with now. So I have a nice mixture of people that are on my list.
Okay. We'll get to the tech stack questions a little bit later. I think, Jonna, we wanted to maybe tap into some of those like membership style questions after this. But I think we have some notes for you and thoughts, because it kind of ties into, you've got leads, which are the people who are curiously interested. They're high powered, they're intelligent, not to say they're not. But then you've got people who've already bought into you in some way, whether fiscally or with a download, like a lead magnet. And Jonna made a very good point about separating those people and then talking to them a little differently.
They're in different points, different decisions, different triggers that will make them want to go to the next phase of working with you. And so Lori, do you want to dive into the membership stuff now, or do you have a couple more questions?
Let's talk content, and then let's ask membership. Because like some of the notes that you had, John and I had looked into sharing with you on like tone and concept, I think will be a little bit of a game changer for not only you and the amount of work that it takes to post this content, but also again, and like really being clear about who is watching you as a lead versus who is watching you as more of like a customer minded person or someone who's bought into you already. I do think they're in different places, just like you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, like you said, a lot of the people who are more invested or who, are opening your emails, who are reading the emails that you sent, they're very education focused. They want to learn. And they're the ones who are closer to making that buying decision, or perhaps already have and are just, trying to absorb more knowledge around what you're giving them. And so one of the things that we noticed is, because we were looking at content on your YouTube, we were looking on your Instagram and your Facebook. And one of the things that we noticed was that it carries more of a clinical tone, an educated, clinical tone, which I think is great for the people who already are to that point where they're absorbing as much information as possible. But what I think maybe it's not connecting with is the people who don't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? They know that they're suffering from certain symptoms or things, or they're tired all the time, or they're not sleeping because they have anxiety, and their dreams are keeping them awake, or whatever it is that they're suffering from. I think and maybe this is why we're not getting as much engagement on some of these platforms, is because it's not hooking the people who are in the pre-stages, you know what I mean? Who aren't quite ready. So I think there's a couple levels to your content. Like, I love the educational longer pieces that you put on YouTube. I think those are fantastic because, I'm that person, my daughter's that person. Like, if we want to learn about something, we'll go look up something on YouTube and put it on and watch a good 30, 45-minute deep dive into it. But if I'm scrolling social media and I'm like looking for that short form, like quick content, it's got to hook me in like the first 10 seconds or I'm scrolling. So I'd love to see you play with some things, just to try out and see how they perform on some of the short form where it's a little bit more, and Lori might be able to explain this a little bit better than me, but like it hooks people. It captures someone's attention right in the beginning instead of going straight into the educational piece, like connecting with them and kind of getting like, oh my gosh, yeah, that does sound like me. Like, I wonder what this is, and not leading right with the education piece, and seeing if we can hook some more people who are a little bit lower, who are in that wider part of your funnel, who aren't quite into the niche area yet. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I thought I was doing that.
And that, I think, is the hardest part when you're in something, especially when you have a medical background of any kind, because we have spoken to people, whether it's like private clients or on the podcast. When you we watch a couple of things, talking about like the thyroid panels and when you're getting this, it's actually a pituitary, it's not really your thyroid. That's clinical.
Yeah.
And if you step back and listen to it it's hard to have third-party ears because you are a master and we are not, which is the great news. We're not masters. We're just like, oh yeah, we did those panels recently. I should look back and see what else she said. But like the overwhelm starts to happen when, like John and I are, I would say, adjacent to your audience, high-powered entrepreneurial women. She's the mother, like matriarch of the family, whatever. So I don't know what to do with that video. Should I go check my panel? Should I DM you? Now I'm kind of like flustered. I'm like, oh crap, did I order the wrong thing? Like, do I go to my doctor again? I think if you, and we've said this on many podcasts, a lot of us give like 90% too much information in the content or in the podcast itself. If you can suck it back, it's so hard. We've done this with our own people we've hired to 10%. And tell us one thing. It's so hard. I'm telling the first time it's so hard, and then you get used to it. And then tell us what to do with it. Like, okay, you ordered your thyroid lab. It's actually incomplete. I need you to just don't worry. Just DM me. I will put you in my program and I'll fix it for you. I'm not saying to say that, but like that would be an example of something that's more hooky, as we say. And then we move on. We're like, okay, oh my God, I don't have to freak out today. I don't have to like Google the 3 words. I don't know what she just said. I can just DM her and she's going to fix my life. Great. Yeah. Does that make more sense contextually as what we mean by the difference in content?
Yeah.
Even something like,
Mhm.
when's the last time you did this? You know, and like opening with a question that makes them stop and like think for a second, or, you know, like, and think about the symptoms and reverse those pain points, because people, they relate to pain points. They understand pain. You know, that's why musicians write about pain, because we feel it, we understand it. It's like one of the easiest things to like hold on to. And so thinking about that and reverse engineering that to like open up a video and then give them a very short solution. You know, like, do this, message me, I've got you, like Lori was saying. So it's content for the other phase of people, not the people who are there, who are ready, who are like taking the next step. This is getting people in the pre-phase, getting them ready for the next part of your funnel, and then the next where they're going to purchase your program and start to work on themselves.
Mhm.
I like to compare it to, I'm not a very organized person. Like, I'm not, you know, like there's chaos around me. Like, you know, I'm not very like structured. Like Lori has a place for everything. She taught me how to use my Google Calendar, which fixed all my things. And I do use Google Calendar now. But like, I tried to watch the home edit show, like the organizing show, when it came out. It was so overwhelming for me just in the beginning. I turned it off and I'm still not organized. So like, it was too much. Like, it wasn't enough. Like, it kind of scared me. You know, I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is so overwhelming. So it's kind of like this baby step, getting people ready, and it's nurturing them before they're even in your nurturing sequence.
Mm.
That's the shift. It's almost finite. It's almost so hard to see if no one ever brings it to your attention. And I'm glad that we've gone through things to help us also identify this for ourselves, and the courses that we've developed. I can't even tell you how much extra you should have. I'm speechless. I could have shown you the presentations that we made, and then we just threw them away. She's like, nope, literally start over. That's not going to do it. So like, you're not alone. Most of us do this. Most of us are women who are just loaded with these incredible ideas. And so it's like hard to get them out. And then it's hard to get them out in a way that like converts people, because you are, again, a master. We are goldfish with 30 seconds of attention, and then we are gone. Still wondering, still confused, still struggling. So that's where I wonder a little bit about membershipy stuff. But before we go there, when do you ever do discovery calls or phone calls or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you find them to be highly converting as well?
Yes.
Okay, so my wondering is, why is that not part of the call to action?
I'm listening. I'm trying to think where the shift was. Because it was like there was a phase where that's all I got were discovery calls. And I think I got overwhelmed because I was getting like 30, 40 calls a week and I couldn't handle it. So that's probably what happened. So now it's like, okay, I still have it there, but I don't push it as much. So now I just jump to like the assessment or something
Okay,
instead of the call. Yeah.
interesting. Were they converting to becoming paid members, customers?
Probably about from the discovery call. Well, the discovery call took them to the assessment, but now I just kind of say, okay, content to assessment. Sometimes in my emails, I'll offer the call, but I think that's what happened. I hadn't really thought about it, but there was a time where I just got overwhelmed. But people signed, they used to be free, and I would get a lot of calls, and most people showed up, some didn't. So I got tired of booking putting time aside. No one showed up. So I got frustrated. So now I charge $50 for the call. So I get less, but I get more show ups, but I'm not getting 20, 30 calls a week. Well, not saying I accepted 20, 30 calls a week because a lot of people didn't show up, but just say that now that I charge $50, people will sign up and show up, but I get less calls. Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense. Yeah, you have them put skin in the game before they
Right.
Mm-hmm.
start.
How's the conversion with the paid calls? Are you finding that a good majority, like percentage of them, are converting or not converting?
I would say they convert. Maybe I don't really track numbers like I should. About, I would say 50% at least.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's good, especially, because they are highly qualified already
Right.
coming into your call because they're investing. So, I mean, I think Lori would say that's a great, great conversion rate. And just because the other 50% aren't converting now doesn't mean that they're not going to convert later in your nurturing
Mhm.
sequence,
Yeah.
But, I think that's probably a good move, especially if you were getting inundated with discovery calls. It might be fun to play around with doing like a group discovery call at some point where people could hop into
Mhm.
a group session with you and play around and kind of see what the conversion levels are like around that, which is, similar to a webinar in a sense where a lot of people could get on, but it's a little bit more intimate because you can answer questions or you can speak to something specific. It could change focus. It could be on one thing, one pain point focused for a month and be like, if you're
Mhm.
interested in more, like, come on, I'm going to be on here answering your questions, kind of thing. It could be something fun to play around with.
I was
And
thinking of doing that. That's what I wanted to say. I was like, how about I just do an evergreen webinar and then the people that are, because it's a lead magnet, and then for the people on my list, like, hey, it's ask Dr. Leona anything, or maybe not anything, maybe like you said, choose a pain point. And that would be maybe if I did it every week or whatever, instead of doing webinars where I'm talking about everything. Maybe I just had, okay, let's talk about weight loss this week. And then invite the people, hey, struggling losing weight despite diet and exercise, come on in, ask me a question or whatever. I was thinking of doing that.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's a great idea. And I think you should try it. There's no harm ever in trying and
Right.
seeing how it works and how it converts. And, like Lori was saying, when we first were doing our webinars, we were putting so much information in, and our coach was like, nope, 10% of this, like, you're going to focus on this one thing, because again, it makes people feel overwhelmed in the same way.
Mhm.
And when you can focus on one thing, you can be so specific, so if you're focusing on, weight loss or whatever it is, you're going to get all those people where it's like, that's their front pain point. That's what
Yeah.
they're there for. And it's going to help convert like that group of people all at once, because you're speaking truly to them and not anybody who you work with.
Mhm. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Because it's another thing, like the calls. It's like I'll have all these people register and then 4 show up live. I'm like, what is this?
Well,
I know that's part of it, but
it is part of it. And
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about what we say is like your tech stack, or what are the tools you're using to build the automations, build the funnels. What are you using?
I'm using mainly Go High Level.
That's what we use. So funny you should mention that. This is incredible. When I say easy, I say with an asterisk. This is incredibly easy to build in Go High Level, in that you can automate SMS reminders, email reminders, all the reminders, which can help increase your participation rate.
Mhm.
And of course, building a funnel is a very literal thing you can do in High Level. So you have email, SMS, funnels, sites, all of that.
Mhm.
That means you have a place you can build a membership.
Yes.
Well, we don't recommend it for everyone in this way, but when we think of you, having emails is a one-way conversation, unless they reply, which is kind of rare. But when you have a membership platform, you're cultivating a community, which when I think of you and like the one pre-check call we had, that's what I think of. I think of like joy. I think of the transformation. I think of like you're like a ray of light. I think of like, how does that live in emails? It just feels like it's incomplete because you've got this world that you offer people. And they're going to really miss it, honestly, because if they don't check their email, how will they know you can integrate all your events and webinars in there? You can be upselling all the time, because if they're kind of curiously not ready or not sure, they should be on the next webinar. You can be DMing, chatting. They can be sharing their stories and love for you and their bodies and themselves. It's like this amazing ripple effect. And it doesn't have to happen in Facebook groups. It can happen in Go High Level in your platform.
Oh.
It actually looks like a Facebook group. We've built one ourselves. It's pretty similar. but you own it. You have sovereignty, which is really powerful these days.
So this is membership because I have like my group that I coach. You talking about a membership for the email people?
Not a membership for the email people, but I don't know if you want to call it a membership. You call it something, a community, a space. It could be free. You can have a level where it's free, and then you can have paid levels as well. So maybe you gate your office hours, but you allow people in your community first access to you. And so every, I don't know, Wednesday at 10 a.m., they can pay X per month and have access to you every single week. You said coaching. So when we think of coaching, we think, one-to-one or one-to-group. So that's why memberships tend to be a place that we go to when we think of coaching.
And it kind of brings that community aspect. And, a lot of coaches have like Facebook groups and things like that. But the problem with those is that Facebook can delete them anytime, or, you're limited in certain things they're not allowed on there. Whereas if you have your own community inside of Go High Level, which of course to them, it's not Go High Level facing, it's just your own community with a domain. But like Lori said, you can have a free tier of it. So you have those people who are interested, but haven't quite, leveled up to the next purchasing. But now they're not just in your emails. They're in a place where there's discussions, there's forums, there's other people who are in that group who have maybe worked with you and can help with that credibility and the reputation and help people take the next step. Or if, there's like a hot topic right now, because as we know, there's a lot of trending health things right now, and, popping in there and doing a little video talking about it. It's just kind of connecting with people on a more direct level than just the email nurturing in a way. So they get a taste of what working with you would be like and what coaching with you would be like.
That's good information, because when I do my 5-day challenges, I have my challenge community, but it's on Facebook. I could have had it in Go High Level.
Well, that's the good news. I think you'll only come to it right when you're ready. So probably there was a reason you weren't ready, just like with us. We found it when we did. And actually, Go High Level has evolved tremendously since its inception. So we probably avoided a lot of pain from iteration 1 and 2. Now you can do this in your group. And this is where we want you to put, like, the content you're putting on Facebook in our minds goes in this group. You put more time, love, and attention on the people who also want to participate with you. And then Facebook gets more of, like, you had a deadlift PR, right? More personality, more lifestyle, more interesting things, because they want to know they can get access to this human, and look what this human can do. Look at these cool things. Look what she's up to. Like, I want to be a part of her world. And then they convert into the group, and then they convert into a coaching client. And then maybe they upsell, etc., or buy your book. Or maybe everyone who gets your membership, they get mailed a book as well. Like, you can start to converge these incredible assets you've spent all of this time building. But we just think it makes more sense to funnel your energy in a place where they want to reciprocate already. And then you hook the leads on Facebook with different topics or different approach, and maybe also a DM strategy, thinking about engagement. Also, I didn't notice, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I didn't see a Google listing for you. Do you have a Google business listing?
I do.
It didn't come up for me. So my apologies. You already have one. You can cross-post your content there if you're not already. So we recommend doing that.
The new things.
I don't know why Google does not want people to know about their tools. Make it make sense. But you can post your content there, including links to videos and invitations. So whatever you're going to post to Facebook, generally speaking, just cross-post it to Google, and don't take so much time trying to figure out what to post there for now. If we could give you that one little thing. But
it's good for like Google search boosting and keyword searches and things like that. So it's kind of a
Really
SEO on Google.
I tell you, this technology world is like, woo, it's like, it's a lot. Like I wasn't aware, like, how my clients aren't aware. They just don't know what they don't know. I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
There's
that's
so much.
Yeah, that's what we try to do for people is be that resource, so that we're very no BS. It's like, you can do this or you can do that. There's no right way. Like, give up having to be right. We don't say there's a right way. It's like you tried this and the traction isn't there on conversion. It's great news. Now we know something isn't working. So today we dove in for an hour, figured it out, I think, with you at this point. And our best guess is like, hey, if you shift these two things and focus your content here and put your energy into this like cool free/paid membership, think about what that could free up for you. It's a lot of energy what you're doing, putting in all this content and recording and posting. Put it to the people who want to hear from you, who are closer to paying for it. And then, you know, an engagement strategy would probably make sense for social media, a content and engagement strategy, you know, that better fits these potential leads. So really, it's all good news. It's just, I don't think doing it all by yourself is feasible. It got you to here, but now you're going to there. And that's where a lot of us are at, is there's that pivotal moment where you want to be global and international, might look like having a small team. And not just the fabulous Dr. Leona herself.
Well, it does connect what I already, know, because like, before the internet, doing the in-office things, then connecting is really where the strength is. And even with online, when they're able to engage with me, that's when there was more connection versus, oh, I saw her online and I'll sign up. It was more with interaction, either virtual or in person. And I was thinking of doing more of those locally. Like, I need to go back to doing that locally.
We're huge on that.
Yeah, I did it a lot back in the day.
It's been interesting because there has been a shift. Everything kind of shifted to online for a little bit, and then we went through COVID, and people were just so craving human interaction again. And there's been a shift back into the local market, but I feel like the local market is just a catalyst for a bigger market as well. But you are so amazing in interactions, like the way that you speak and the way you talk to someone, they can really connect with you and use that to your advantage, because that is going to be the greatest impact for them, and then also for you and your funnel and your systems as well. And so whether you do that virtually or in person, it is going to make an impact, because you're fabulous to talk with, and you can just really truly speak to the things that people are going through, one, because you've been there personally yourself, but you also see it, and you can see it so differently than we can ourselves. Besides just feeling drained all of the time, you understand the why, and it's just really hard to see in ourselves when we're dealing with everything else around us. So we love that you've been able, I feel like I'm educated after this call. I took your quiz while we were on here, and I was like, oh, this is fun. But, so I want to thank you so much for being here with us, for being able to share and be ready to grow. And so we want to end today, and we want you to give us a little pitch and tell us who you work with, how you can help, and where to get started with you.
All right. Well, I'm Dr. Leona Allen, and if you want to look as good on the inside as you are on the outside, let's have a conversation. Talk to me so we can make you better, not just for you, but for those who you love and love you.
I love that. And remind us where they can find you right now.
Right now, well, my website is under construction, but it's drleona.com. I saw some back end of it. It looks amazing. But they can also find me on Instagram, Dr.Leona, and Facebook, Dr. Leona.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as a reminder, wherever you're listening to this or watching, we have all of her links and everything we've talked about in the show notes today. And if you are listening and you see or you hear yourself in Dr. Leona's story, you have the expertise, the message is landing, but there's still just that little gap between who you're connecting with and getting those people to take that next step. We want to help you figure out what is in the way. So we invite you to head over to becomethrive.com. We've got the link below in the show notes again, and we're going to be straight with you about what we see and help you figure out what needs to shift. So stop pretending everything is perfect and let's get to work. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Success is a lie if you're failing inside. You can't grow a business you to hate.